Oh, Karen didn't just scream at my disabled daughter in court, she attacked her. Right there in front of the judge. My little girl collapsed, her leg twisted, her breathing gone, her hands shaking so badly she couldn't even hold her crutch. People froze. Nobody moved. Nobody helped. And for 3 long minutes, I thought I was watching my child slip away from me. But then the courtroom doors exploded open. And the military police stormed in. I didn't know they were coming. I didn't know who had called them. And I definitely didn't know the woman leading them would change everything. This is how it all happened. My name is Daniel Reed. And for the past 3 years, my entire life has revolved around my daughter, Lily. She's 11. She's smart, kind, and stronger than anyone gives her credit for. But she was born with a severe nerve disorder that affects her left leg. Some days she can walk short distances with a crutch, other days, the pain flares so badly she can't move at all. Sudden stress, unexpected noises, or being startled can trigger episodes that twist her muscles into painful spasms. It's been like this since she was 5. After my wife died in a car accident, it became just me and Lily against the world. For therapy, medications, braces, mobility tools, everything cost money I didn't have. I worked 2 jobs. I cut every corner. I sold my truck. And when we finally scraped together enough to move into a modest home in Pinecrest Estates, I thought we'd found peace. I was wrong. Because Pinecrest Estates came with an hoe. And at the center of that hoe was one woman. Patricia Hawkins. The kind of woman who wakes up angry. The kind who believes rules are sacred, and exceptions are how communities fall. The kind who talks with her chin raised like she's smelling something rotten. She inspected houses like she was hunting for sins. And from the day Lily and I moved in, she had her sights locked on our home. The fence leaned slightly to the left after a storm. The paint had faded from sun exposure. The grass had 2 brown patches where the soil wouldn't take water. Those were my crimes. I tried to ignore her warnings. I tried to explain. But Patricia didn't care. One afternoon, she stood on my porch with her clipboard like she was announcing a death sentence. "Oh, Sir Reed, this is your final notice," she said. "You have 45 days to repaint your exterior, repair your fence, and bring your yard up to community standards. Failure to do so will result in legal action." I tried explaining again about Lily's disability, her medical bills, the cost of therapy. Patricia just stared at me like I was dirt under her shoe. "Your personal issues do not exempt you from community responsibility," she said coldly. I told her I would fix everything slowly when I could afford it. She did care. She filed a formal complaint. The fines started arriving. And a month later, a letter came that made my stomach drop. The hoe was taking me to court. Lee heard me read it aloud. She tightened her grip on her crutch, her little face falling. "Daddy, are we in trouble?" "No, sweetheart," I lied. But inside, I was terrified. The courthouse smelled like old paper and polished floors. Lily walked slowly beside me, each step careful. Her therapist had warned me that stress could trigger a flare-up. I told myself she'd be okay. I had to believe it. When we entered the courtroom, my heart sank. Patricia Hawkins was already there, wearing a navy blue blazer and jewelry that glinted like ice. 3 other HOA board members flanked her like bodyguards. She didn't look at us. She didn't even blink. Lily and I sat in the back. She squeezed my hand. "Eddie, does she hate us?" she whispered. "She does matter," I said. "Only you do." But inside, I hated that a child even had to ask that question. When the judge entered, Patricia rose with dramatic posture, like she was performing in a play. "Your Honor," she began, "this homeowner has repeatedly ignored our notices and damaged the aesthetic integrity of Pinecrest Estates." Aesthetic integrity. As if my fence had personally offended God. She displayed photos zoomed in shots of peeling paint, a slanted fence, a patch of dry grass as if she was presenting evidence of a murder weapon. Then she dropped the bomb. And when confronted, Mr. Reed used his child as an excuse. The room gasped softly. My blood went cold. I stood. "Excuse me." "Sit down," the judge warned. Patricia kept going. "This has been a pattern of avoidance, manipulation, and refusal to abide by community standards." Manipulation. She was calling my disabled child an excuse. I gripped the table so hard my knuckles ached. When it was finally my turn, I stood and walked to the front. Your Honor, I began, trying to steady my voice. My daughter has a severe nerve disability. Her medical care costs thousands each month. I work 2 jobs just to keep her treatment going. And not ignoring the hoe. I just don't have the money yet. I gestured to Lily, who was sitting with her crutch resting against her leg. She's the reason I can't repaint a fence, but she's also the reason I get up every morning. The judge nodded slowly, clearly understanding. But Patricia wasn't done being Patricia. She shot to her feet. Your Honor, this child walks perfectly fine. I've seen her outside. I felt Lily flinch behind me. I stepped. Don't talk about my daughter like that. The judge glared at both of us. Nah. But Patricia wasn't finished. She turned, pointed directly at my little girl, and said, she's faking it to help her father avoid responsibility. The room reacted instantly. Gasps, whispers, disbelief. Lily's face crumbled. And something inside her folded with it. She clutched her leg. Her breathing hitched. She dropped her crutch. Before I could reach her, she collapsed to the floor with a small, broken cry. Lily. I dropped to my knees. Her body convulsed in spasms, the kind her neurologist had warned me about. Her leg twisted at an unnatural angle, and her hands trembled uncontrollably. Tears pooled in her eyes as she tried to breathe through the pain. I bet can't, Daddy, it hurts. I know, baby, I know. I'm right here. Shouts erupted around us. The judge stood instantly. Bailiff, medical assistants now. But before anyone could move, Patricia took a step toward us. A step too far. Oh, stop this performance, she snapped. That child is perfectly fine. Then you take another step. I shouted. But she did listen. She lunged. Whether she meant to grab Lily or point at her or do something else, he never found out. Because as she moved forward, her arm brushed Lily's injured leg. Lily let out a scream of pure agony. I shoved Patricia back with everything inside me. You touch my daughter again, I warned, my voice shaking with fury, and I swear. But before I could finish my sentence, the courtroom doors slammed open with explosive force. 5 military police officers stormed in, boots pounding against the floor in synchronized rhythm. Their uniforms were crisp. Their expressions were deadly serious. Everyone froze. The lead officer, a woman with sharp eyes and close-cropped hair, stepped forward. Where's the minor in distress? She barked. Her eyes locked onto Lily instantly. Then she saw my face. And Neil, she said, her voice dropping. Oh my God, and Neil Reed. I blinked. Captain Morris. It took me a moment to recognize her. She was my late wife's cousin. We had spoken in years. I got your message, she said, dropping to her knees beside Lily. I came as fast as I could. My message. I had sent anything. But there was no time to ask questions. She checked Lily's pulse, her breathing, her spasms. Then she turned to her team. She had medical support now. Move. 2 officers rushed out of the courtroom. Captain Morris rose to her feet and faced Patricia Hawkins with a look I had never seen. Cold, sharp, lethal. Man, she announced, voice echoing through the silent courtroom. You are under arrest for harassment, endangerment of a disabled minor, and obstruction of court proceedings. The room exploded in whispers. Patricia sputtered. You can't arrest me, and the whole president. Captain Morris didn't blink. And I'm a military police officer acting on a federal support request. Turn around. Now. The officers grabbed Patricia, cuffed her, and read her rights as she protested violently. Meanwhile, paramedics arrived and lifted Lily onto a stretcher. Her episodes usually lasted minutes, but this one was better, muscles still twitching, her breathing still shallow. Captain Morris walked beside us as they wheeled her out. She's going to be okay, she whispered to me. We'll get her treatment immediately. My voice cracked. How did you even know? She glanced at me. Your wife's sister heard about the court case from a neighbor. She called me crying. Said you refused to tell anyone you were struggling. Said Lily was getting worse. I came to make sure you both were safe. I felt tears burning behind my eyes. I had realized how alone I'd been. How many people had pushed away while trying to be strong. But right then, nothing mattered except my daughter. At the hospital, Doctors confirmed the episode had been triggered by severe stress and physical impact. Her leg would be sore for weeks, but there was no permanent damage. When she finally woke up, she whispered, "Betty, am I in trouble?" I held her hand and shook my head. "No, sweetheart, you're safe, I promise." The next morning, we returned to court for a follow-up. The judge dismissed the host case instantly. "These proceedings never should have happened," he said firmly. "Mr. Reed, you are not required to pay a single fine. In fact, given the assault on your child, you may pursue civil damages." Patricia wasn't there. She was still in custody. The board members looked ashamed, really ashamed, and not the fake kind. Mr. Reed once said, "We didn't know she was doing all this, we're sorry." I didn't know what to say. I simply nodded. When Lily was well enough to return home, I carried her up our porch steps. But something looked different. Our fence was fixed. Our siding freshly painted. Our yard trimmed and filled with flowers. Dozens of neighbors stood together, tools in hand, smiling nervously. A man stepped forward. "We heard what Patricia did," he said. "We should have stepped in. We should have listened. This was the least we could do." Another woman nodded. "You're not alone, Daniel. Not anymore." Lily wiped her eyes. "Did they do all this for us?" I knelt beside her. "Yes, baby, they did." Captain Morris stopped by that evening in uniform, handing Lily a small patch from her unit. "For bravery," she said. Lily gasped. "For me." "For you," Captain Morris replied. "You're stronger than half the soldiers I know." As she left, she said something quietly to me. "Your wife would be proud of you." I did speak. Only nodded, swallowing tears. That night, Lily fell asleep on the couch, her crutch resting beside her, the glow of our newly repaired porch lights shining across her face. I looked around our home, fixed, peaceful, safe. And I realized something. 3 minutes changed everything. 3 minutes showed me what real community looks like. 3 minutes reminded me that we were never truly alone. If you were standing in that courtroom seeing a disabled child collapse while an Hope president screamed at her, what would you have done? Would you step in? Would you speak up? Tell me. Have you ever faced an hole like this?